Welcome back to the show, everybody. Jen Avis with us this morning. Thank you for being here.
It is good to be here.
Okay, we're talking about something that everybody can fall victim to, emotional eating during the holidays.
Absolutely. And you know, it's good emotions, bad emotions. Sometimes people can associate something bad that happened at a holiday, losing a loved one, which leaves us depressed. But when we get that and it affects our emotions, our body produces more cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol pushes more weight here, but it also causes you to crave sweets.
Right.
And then there's no way to avoid the sugary drinks and alcohol and the rich foods. And so when you eat that, it temporarily lifts your spirits, and then because you produce more dopamine and serotonin, but then you crash.
Right.
And then you crave more sweets. And so some of the things that you can do through the holiday, of course, is try to keep a normal schedule when you're not entertaining or going to parties, but try to get as many steps as you can. It might mean that when you go to the mall or you go into a store, you park further out. Try to hydrate, keep your body and fluids good. Try to eat foods with fiber because it keeps you full longer. And try to get good sources of protein, whether it's from vegetable or whether it's from meat sources. Don't skip your meals. If you don't want to eat a meal, eat a small snack, protein and carb, and try to take deep breaths because that helps your body relieve the stress. The other thing that affects us is sleep.
Oh,
and of course, sleep is a problem for most people.
Me too, me included, for sure.
I have to work on it. But when you have people coming in, you're going to parties, it throws your schedule off and you don't get the sleep you need. And you literally crave food, and usually the worst kinds of foods. You know, you'll go, why am I wanting that? You know, and that has to do with not getting the sleep that you need. So I'd say try to stay on a good sleep pattern there. And then don't beat yourself up. I mean, if you get out of control and you don't eat what you need to do, just get back to it and be mindful when you go into a party. I keep coming back to the plate. If you can see it, it's sectioned off. But try to fill most of your plate with foods that are not high calorie, not sugary sweet, and then pick and choose what you're going to put on that plate.
Right. And even, you know, drinking that glass of water, you know, like we talk about, that helps keep you full before you start eating.
Absolutely. And it raises your metabolism.
A twofold benefit there. Hydration, raising the metabolism.
Yes.
Thank you so much for going over all these great tips. We're going to have everything on KNOE.com after the show.